Hi, my name's Leo and I'm a boat builder and a sailor, and I'm on a mission to get this boat, Tally Ho, back from the Pacific Ocean to the UK in time to race once again the famous Fastnet race 100 years after she won it in 1927. But in this episode, I'm answering the question, did this boat really win the Fastnet race before, or was it a different boat? Is this the same boat that I bought in 2017 for $1? Or is that boat now long gone, destroyed by me, and replaced with this new boat? Now, a few years ago, while we were rebuilding the boat, I did make a video all about the ship of Theseus Paradox, which is the Greek fable about the boat that was replaced piece by piece until there was nothing left of the original, and the question is whether that's the same boat. Now, there are a lot of really interesting philosophical discussions and arguments to be had around that concept. I'm not going to go over those again in this video, but you can go back and watch that video if it sounds interesting. In this video, I'm going to talk in more concrete terms how much of the actual physical original Tally Ho is still in this boat. What is that in terms of percentage? Is that meaningful? Does that make it the same boat or not? I'm going to tell you my opinion and let you make up your own minds. And I'm going to answer the question, why did I buy an old boat and then replace it piece by piece until there was not much left, and not just start from scratch, which would have undoubtedly been a lot easier. Now, to answer that question first, there are actually a few reasons why I bought Tally Ho. First off, at the time, I didn't know how much would need to be replaced. I surveyed the boat as best I could, but there are some areas that you just can't get to without taking it apart, and I did really think at the time that I'd be able to save the entire backbone of the boat and a lot of the hull planking. Of course, that turned out not to be the case, but by the time I dug deep enough to really find that out, I was already emotionally invested in the boat, and so were some of my audience. That brings me on to the second reason why I bought Tally Ho, and why I think starting with an old boat rather than starting from scratch was actually a really good thing in this case. And that is just that it makes a better story. Now, for many years I'd wanted to build a wooden boat from scratch, but one of the main problems was funding it. I didn't have enough money to pay for all the materials, which are getting more and more expensive every year. When I bought Tally Ho with a view to rebuild the boat, I did not know how I would fund it, but I did think that social media and storytelling might play a big part. And I think that starting with a physical boat, with a physical object, with a story and with the history really helps kick off the channel and the videos and the story to a good, strong start where people could see the object that I was working with, and it drew people in and got them emotionally invested in the story, which in turn helped fund the whole project. Then throughout the project, I met a lot of people who had history with the boat. I discovered photos, I discovered stories, and that all added really interesting elements to the overall story of this project. If I decided to build a new boat, I have no idea how the project would have gone. It may have been just as successful, or maybe I would have found it hard to find the audience and tell the story in such a compelling way. So of course you can argue that the story of a boat, its identity, if you like, is part of what makes it the same boat. But I want to talk a bit more about what is actually physically present in this boat from the original Tally Ho, and is that relevant? Is it significant enough to make it the same boat? So believe it or not, in terms of physical material, 20% of this boat is original Tally Ho from 1910. The majority of that material is in the lead ballast keel. Now, we did recast the ballast keel after trying unsuccessfully to repair it with dramatic results, but we recast it with the original lead. So we did rearrange its molecules a bit, but it is the same lead that has always been with the boat. As well as the lead in the keel, there is some original timber on the boat, the most important part being the transom of the boat, which is about half original timber. And there's also quite a bit of planking timber which was repurposed in the interior of the boat as tables and bunk sides and that kind of thing. But if you don't want to count that because it's not in the same place as it was, that's fine, I understand. But the transom, that counts. There's also some pretty significant hardware on deck, which is original. The big wrought iron main sheet jibe buffer is original, and also the big capstan winch on the foredeck. Although we have added a motor to it, the winch itself is original, and it is a very big, iconic piece of metal that's quite unusual, and we use that all the time for hoisting the anchor. It's very useful, it's very operational, and it has always been on Tally Ho, and it's in the original drawings. Now, I often see people making comments that I shouldn't call this boat a restoration because there's so little left of the original. And I agree, and I don't call it a restoration. I call it a rebuild because we have rebuilt the boat from the keel up. And I think personally that is a more appropriate term than restoration or replica. And one of the reasons why I don't personally think that this boat is a replica is because if you look at the progression of the rebuild, there was always the shape of a boat there. There was no point at which the boat was destroyed. It was always recognizable as the same boat throughout the process, and it always had some original material. And it ended up, of course, with about 20% by weight original material. Now, of course, that's just my opinion, and if you don't agree with it, that's fine. I'm happy for people to call this boat a new build if they want to. It doesn't bother me, but I see it as the same boat, and I think many other people do as well. Certainly in the kind of wooden boat and classic boat world, projects like this are generally considered to be the same boat. To me, the most important thing is the story, the craftsmanship, the challenges, and most of all the people who have been involved in this project and made it succeed. And I believe that most of those people, like me, don't really mind too much what you want to call the boat, but are happy, like me, just that it exists and that it happened and that it brought a lot of people together and created a lot of entertainment for a lot of people around the world. Regardless of if you believe that this boat is the original Tally-Ho or not, I think there's no doubt that the boat is carrying on that original boat's legacy and its story. And more importantly, to me at least, it's creating new stories going forwards, and I hope that it does that for many, many more years and decades and maybe even centuries to come. Now, I hope this video has answered some questions, and if you haven't done so already, I really hope you consider watching the project from the start and seeing just how many amazing, interesting, crazy characters were involved and what obstacles and challenges we overcame together to get this boat back in the water. And I'm going to end this video the same way I end every video, by saying thanks a lot for watching, and a massive, massive thank you to everyone who has supported this project. It does make a huge difference, and it means we're able to keep this boat going, we're able to keep adventuring and sailing, and we're able to keep on making these videos for you guys. So I really, really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.